Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Mecha Break video. Today's video, we're going to be looking at the beginner's guide for Alphard. I just want to mention this in the beginning of the video that this is a private server that we were able to test out the stuff early before season 1 actually officially releases, so things can change. I just want to make sure you guys see that. I still feel like the kit will stay the same, but maybe the stats will change a little bit, so the numbers might change, but overall what you're going to see in this video, the kit will pretty much be exactly the same. So just keep that in mind. We're going to say that a couple times so that people know that this is pre-season 1 before it drops. We had access to it, so we can go ahead and showcase this to you guys. Now, there's a lot to go with Alphard. I want to make sure we explain everything as much as possible, give some tips and tricks about playing with this mech, or who could this mech be really good with as a pilot, meaning is this mech for you? Now, the other mech we have access to play is Hell, which we will be doing another beginner's guide for that. But I want to go ahead and show you guys Alphard. Now, real quick, if you guys want to see more Mecha Break content, hit the subscribe button. That will keep you up to date with a lot of Mecha Break content information on all the guides we make, and even our Counter Striker series where we try to learn how to play against certain mechs. Now, I do have Hell's guide coming up as well. We're going to have both their challenges as well uploaded, so you guys can see what the challenges are going to be and how I was able to successfully do it. Now, for this mech, the title for Alphard is Line Breaker. Now, there are some UI changes a little bit, but it's pretty much the same. If you go to Tactical Station, you have to do tutorial first, the basic tutorial right here, before you can go into the challenges, which allows you to give you the advanced challenges here. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can go ahead and do that. As you see, we got those two taken care of. So without further ado, let's get into Alphard's video. Alright, so we're going to first show you guys Alphard's weapons, the abilities, and I also want to show you guys the actual stats when it comes to Alphard, because Alphard is being considered as a medium striker, and it just has just enough HP over Stellaris, which is a light attacker on HP. Now, there are some differences when it comes to the stats, so let's go ahead and show you guys what the difference here is. So if you go to mods, this is what it will be for Alphard. And then I'm going to put hopefully a little screenshot of what it will be with Falcon, Stellaris. Now, this is a medium attacker, but I want to show you that there's very little difference. This is more in the lines of is more of a medium attack. Well, it is a medium attacker, but it's more that their health is kind of more in that crust where it just makes it to be more of a medium attacker. All right, so now let's take a look at these abilities really quick, and then we'll see them actually in the training room. So you have your autocannon here, just like Falcon's weapon, pretty much. You have ballistic damage you're doing here, specifically 1200 damage, magazine is 60. So you have some decent okay damage when it comes to this. If you play Falcon, you know what the damage is like this. Now, I will say something right away. If you are used to playing Falcon, I think transitioning over to Alphard is going to be super duper easy, and we're going to explain why, but it's pretty very similar when it comes to how the kit works and how you can able to play around with it, just minus the actual flipping tricks. Next, we're going to have the rocket pods. Now, these are 2 rocket pods that are on his shoulders. Now, this hits 2 times on 1 click. So if you click on right click 1 time, you're going to have 2 missiles come out 2 different times, and they do about 4,000 damage, 8 rounds altogether, and they reload about 4 seconds. Next, you have your light multi missiles. These are pretty much like Stego. Here specifically, we are considering this like a Falcon Stego mixture here. This is how this Alphard is being built up as. Now, the damage for this is 2100, which is pretty decent. The magazine is 2. Now, keep in mind, you can use this whenever. Just like Falcon's light missiles, how you're able to use the missiles whenever, you can use this whenever as well. You don't have to be locked on to anyone. You can use it, so you have to be careful that you're not accidentally pressing this and wasting these missiles, because these missiles are pretty good damage. Next is your rapid assault mode, which is your burst mode altogether, which we will go over that in a little bit, but it's really fast. It has its own energy bar, which we talk about in a second. And last but not least is the third ability is Aux 3, is the electric trail, which pretty much almost has like a Skyraider's missiles effect, where it goes out and seeks, but it has a curve to it, so you got to be careful when using it. And we're going to be talking about the things to do and things not to do when using this kit overall. But there is a stunning effect, as you see here specifically. You do stun, you do blur them up just like you do for Skyraider. All right, so now let's go into the training room so we can actually see what Alphard is like when using the abilities, okay? All right, so now we're in the training room. We're going to go over really quick as we went over the weapons and the abilities, but you're going to now visually see it. So you have your auto attack, which you have your weapons, okay? It fires just a little bit less than Falcon, but it's pretty much exactly the same. And then you have your missiles, which is your right click. You're going to see 2 burst missiles come out. Boom. Those are 2 missiles, okay? And you see there's a reload to reload both of them. Now, you could use this as you're moving around. But keep in mind that if you're not locked on, you will be looking at whatever your HUD is kind of looking at. So if you're looking down there, as you saw before, boom, boom. So you could use this when you're really far away, which can help you too. So if you are good with like kind of like aiming down the sights and kind of just shooting, you can still hit. So there really isn't too much of a range. There is a cap when it comes to it. So if you go all the way to the end, let's see if I can even... You can still hit it, but if you keep going further back, this is 767 meters right now. But if you go further back, the missiles won't actually do enough get to that destination. So that's just something we keep in mind. But if you're good at aiming down the sights with this right click, you can still, without auto locking, you can still land your target. It will still go straight. But obviously, you want to be close enough, which is around 450 or 430 meters, to go ahead and use your ability. So next is your light micro missiles. So these are just like I mentioned before. These are like Stegel's missiles. There's like Falcon missiles. They go out. You're gonna see right here. Boom. Now as you see, they all come out and they curve in. So keep that in mind because you're going to be trying to use that to your advantage sometimes when you're moving around. You're going to have to understand that they curve. They don't go straight. They don't just go out and then land. They kind of curve in, so you kind of want to make sure you are understanding how that ability works. Now the second ability is your burst mode, which is really fast. So we're going to go ahead and use that right here. This is your normal sprint speed, okay? This is sprint all the way, as you see here. Now when it comes to the burst mode, as you see here, you go really fast. You do have your own energy bar, which is kind of like right over there. You see being depleted. Okay, now you can, just like Aquila, have your own unique bar. You can balance these out. You're mostly going to be using the burst mode as your way to move around. Your energy mode is going to kind of be like your backup. If you can't balance that out very well, you're going to hope that you have your energy to kind of keep you afloat and kind of get you out of a sticky situation if you need that. But your burst mode is where you're going to be really trying to get around. Now, keep in mind when it comes to the burst mode, just like Falcon and Skyraider, if you don't understand those mechs, a lot of times you're going to fly and you're using your second ability, right, to transform. You're going to be flying around, but in this scenario you're going to be using your burst mode to fly around. But in this scenario, if you are using Falcon or Skyraider, you're used to de-transforming and then quickly turning on a dime and then going a different direction. That makes it easier for you to pivot. It makes it easier for you to not waste your energy to do a loop and try to get to a different destination. It makes it even easier, makes it even harder for your teammate, your enemy who's attacking you, to realize you're doing a quick pivot. Now you can kind of do something similar with this as well. You can go ahead and get high, go back, boom, go. You hit back, and all I'm doing to do this is I am hitting the back button, which for me would be S to go back, to stop, and then pivoting and moving. Okay, pivoting and moving. You can be quick with this. You can move around. All right, you could use your burst mode, your sprint, but as you see, you consume quite a bit. I don't see myself using the moving forward and sprinting at the exact same time. You do gain a little bit of a distance. You see, there's a little bit of a distance. I wouldn't want to waste all that energy. Burst mode alone is pretty fast. It's probably now one of the fastest in the game. I believe we were able to test this, and right now this is a beta, so I just want to let you guys know With this, it might change, but we were able to test that even with Luminate, this can catch up with Luminate with the wings ability. So this is technically the fastest in the game currently, the fastest mech. So again, you don't have to do special tricks. You just need to learn how to balance it out, stay afloat. In one of your challenges, you're going to have to learn to stay afloat because it's like the floor is lava, and you're going to use this effect. Now with this burst mode, you can move your mouse a little bit around. You can also just use your side buttons to move around and kind of dodge if you want to. This makes it easier for you to use a lot of your abilities to make sure that they land. So if you hit right, you can kind of use your abilities to then quickly make left so that your missiles and everything comes along with it. Yes, you could use all your weapons and abilities. Now, something you're going to be doing is trying to make circles, and the best way to kind of get a circle loop going on is to just tap whatever direction you're going. So if I'm going to go right, I'm going to keep randomly and then trying to look that way. As you see, I'm just pretty much doing circles. Now keep in mind, what you're trying to do is just keep yourself some distance and also do some damage. Now this, as long as you're locked on, you're going to be able to use your autocannon and shoot, but your right click could miss and your micro missiles could miss. So really shooting and doing those loop-de-loops, as you saw, you're going to want to kind of either go left and right, go straight and spam it, but you still want to make sure you are kind of locked on, because if you're not locked on, you will miss a lot of your damage. So being locked on is kind of important when it comes to this kit. Now the other ability we haven't talked about is your third ability, your Aux 3. You can only use your Aux 3 while you are in burst mode. While you're using in burst mode, just like I said before, it's going to look like a Skyraider's missile to go out. So let's go ahead and show that to you guys. Okay. Now, one thing that could be a bug, as you see here, there's no mention specifically that it fires 2 missiles, and there's times where as you just saw, 2 missiles popped up. So something to keep in mind, that might just be a bug because we are in beta, but you really should be seeing 1 missile to go out there. But you could miss your missiles, so you want to make sure that you are landing the missiles, because as you see, there is 12,000 damage, and that does quite a bit of damage. That's a good chunk of your damage right there when you use your third ability. So you do want to land this for sure. All right, now when using that third ability, you have to keep in mind that you could miss your missiles if you're doing something like this. Now I landed it there, but you could miss these missiles because you're spamming it like that. I would not recommend you doing the spin maneuver, that circle, while you're trying to spam your third ability. There's a higher likely chance you will miss your missiles. So you don't want to, like, I landed it right there and I'm perfectly fine. There's going to be times where you could actually miss that. It becomes trial and error. Now, there are probably better ways to make sure you ensure you land this. A few things that I've found comfortable for myself is there is a slight delay when it comes to the missiles coming out. So what I try to do is sometimes either line it up for sure. So if I'm in a straight line, I can go ahead and land that lock on. Another way to kind of like ensure you get it is you can always burst mode, get to the target, lock on, and stop and hit that third ability right away. So it'll be something like this. If you're quick with it, you'll be able to not only land the target, but you can also de-transform or even just stop in the mid-air. Now, I just happened to hit fast landing just in time to see the actual transition, but you're able to shoot it. There is like a window that you can kind of de-transform and fall, and it keeps it where if you're in line, it makes it easier for you to make sure you hit that target. But in that, doing the loop-de-loop, as you saw, the circle around, as you're doing that, I would recommend, you can spam all your weapons and your abilities if you want, if there's a bunch of people around. But if it's just one person, there's more of a likely chance you might miss your target. So I would use it a way to kind of peck at them a little bit. And then if you can line up your shots just right, you'll be able to use your light missiles and then your third ability, your electric trail, to really do some serious damage when it comes to this mech. Now, I want to show you guys the actual damage for everything. So we're going to go ahead and use our weapon first. So let's go ahead and reload our weapon. I want to show you how the weapon bullets does damage to a hurricane. Let's use for that as an example. I just did enough damage just to get it about like 10% or give or take. Now, we're going to then use our missiles or 2 cannons on top. All right, and as you see that how the damage it is, it's gonna be really good for you to use your weapon and your rockets at the same time, because you could do that. You can shoot your weapon and do that at the same time. Now you see the damage looks a lot better when you do something like that. Way better when doing damage like that. So you can use both weapons perfectly fine in sync. All right, now when playing with this, let's look at the micro missiles that you would do. Now, if you're really close, you could obviously miss your missiles. So you don't want to be that close to a target. So as you see here, I'm really close. I hit it a couple times, but most of my missiles went past them. So around that 250, 300 mark is where you're going to start landing your missiles. Boom. A lot more better damage when you land those missiles. So you don't want to be really close and use your missiles, because you're just going to lose them. So keep that in mind. Just a little over 200 meters, you will start to land your missiles if you have lock on. If you get too close, you will definitely be missing your target and missing a lot of damage that you could be doing. All right, so now let's look at the electric trail. Now, as you're bursting and going through, you have to be careful, because there is a chance if you go too close, you're literally going to see the missile go right past them and then do like a curve loop to it, depending on where the missile came out of. Okay. Now, the reason why that's really good, as you see here, it actually does HP damage and avoids the shield altogether. So this is why using your your electric trail is going to be really good, because you can go right to their HP and do a serious amount of damage. So I have 2 of those, so if I was to land them correctly, just do a little bit more. Now keep in mind, it might not seem like a lot of damage, but this is also an ultra defender, and including that, I'm not using my missiles, I'm not using my cannons or my also auto cannons, my main weapon. So you add all of this to it, you can quickly burn a target. So let's see if we can kind of show what missiles and autocannons and the big 2 cannons on top of your shoulder is going to be. The third one is a little bit more tricky to show everything, because you got to be kind of quick with everything. I'm still learning it, and this mech is one of those that, just like I felt by Falcon people are going to love it if they learn how to actually play the kit. Some people are going to be quick and easy to understand it and use it, and some people are going to take some time in the training room and challenges to really learn this kit. And I'm one of those. I have to go in the training room, learn the kit, see how it works, see if I do this, what happens in the interactions with that. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to use all the weapons besides my electric trail. Now that is Hurricane. Look, see how much look how much HP is left from just using my weapons and my abilities. Now, of course, there's shields involved with Hurricane, but the amount of damage you can do is pretty good. On top of that, your third ability, if you were able to land that does quite a bit of damage. You'll be able to like really take down a target. Something else to keep in mind when it comes to the burst mode that I forgot to bring up is the burst mode has a really fast energy cooldown. Now, I don't know, is because this is a beta server, but it's a really fast cooldown, and I can see a lot of people asking for a nerf from this. Keep in mind that this mech is only 35,000 HP. You stun this mech on the floor, and a team or anyone is attacking you, you lose a lot of your HP. Hell has a drone that can stun and can easily bring this down and then do a lot of damage to it. So when it comes to this mech, you have to be careful, because it does feel like more like a light mech when you're moving around and how fragile you are. So you just got to keep that in mind. If you don't have your burst mode ready, you have normal energy, but anyone can kind of chase after you and beat you if you have just your normal energy. So burst mode is pretty important when it comes to this kit. I know a lot of people might be worried about how fast the energy regen is on that, and as you see here, I'll go ahead and show you guys what I mean by how fast that burst mode is. Energy recovery. Okay, you see I'm wasting it. Now I'm full. Okay, depleted. Cool. Now, again, I was depleted, so it takes a little bit longer time when you're depleted, but the energy regen is pretty fast. I know a lot of people might want to ask for a nerf for this. I think we should first see how it is in the wild, because again, it feels like a light mech. It really does feel like a light mech. It feels like Stellaris. You are definitely a sitting duck. You have nothing besides burst mode to really get around and kind of survive. If you don't have that, you are pretty much dead. It's almost like Falcon. If you don't have that flight mode, you're just a sitting duck and you're going to pretty much be dead. So you want to make sure you're keeping an eye on that. And I think the energy regen right now is fine. But I can see people calling for a nerf for this. I just feel like that is part of the integral part of the kit. It is really fast, I understand. But I feel like give it some time. Let's see how the meta shifts when it comes to Alphard now coming into the play. Because I think Alphard and also Hell is going to be really good, solid picks for meta picks now. Because they do some really good damage. And they're also really good situational depending on what objective you're doing as well. Now, overall, I think this mech is super solid. It's good to pepper a lot of damage. It's good to go after certain targets like a Falcon. Now, Falcon can also attack this as well. I think this does a really good job at fighting Falcons. It does a really good job at fighting snipers. But keep in mind that snipers are easily can counter this as well. Because that burst mode is the only thing it has. And if you can kind of see where it's going, you can kind of shoot where it's going to be. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to a sniper. But can this go after a sniper? Yes, it can. I can see this obviously going after the healers, your Panakas, also your Lumine. Now, what's really good about this mech is with the new changes that are going to be happening with Stellaris, where you have a delay now when they grapple, you can activate your burst mode. So if they hook onto you, you can activate your burst mode and actually get out of that situation. So that would be also a good way to a good counter for Stellaris when it comes to fighting. I think this mech is pretty solid when it comes to it when you need to fight a Stellaris player. I think having an Alphard and a Falcon on the team can be very advantageous, but it all depends on the group that you are with and how you guys are synergizing with each other, because having both mechs out there just throwing a bunch of missiles can help just put a blanket amount of damage to the whole entire team if they're on a point. So depending on how you want to use your Alphard, I tend to use it where I kind of go around and specifically look for those targets, and then I try to then come back to my team. Being in a nuisance is kind of what a lot of the light mechs are going to be doing. A lot of the light attackers specifically, they're going to kind of go out there, find something, find someone, attack them, and then try to bother them enough to take them off of the objective or focus on you versus focusing on them, and then you can kind of really punish them for doing so. Now, there are a lot of mechs that can counter this. Hurricane just happens to be a good one. It has the drones. It can target this. If it doesn't escape the area and not be hit by the drone range, you are fine. But the range on Inferno and Hurricane does a really good job at picking on Alphard if it happens to stay in that area. Because of the range that those weapons have, I think overall these two mechs are super solid. But because you go so fast and so far and quickly, it makes it really tough for Tricera and Stego to move around now, since they kind of nerfed the rotation speed. So you can really use that to your advantage to kind of go around circles and bother those types of mechs that like to be stationary. But overall, I think Alphard just happens to be a really solid mech. They do have it as a normal, easy person to pick up and learn. I think overall it is pretty easy to pick up, but I will say you have to understand how to use that burst kit correctly. If you don't use that burst kit correctly, I feel like you're going to be in a disadvantage when you're out in the open. You run out of energy and then you're just a sitting duck. But that's pretty much it. Again, this is in the beta private server we were able to test. Now this might change in the final release of this. Now this game season update of season 1 is going to be dropping on September 19th, so only just a couple days from now you'll be able to actually play with this mech. So there might be some changes, but overall if they do any changes, they most likely would change like the stats specifically, but they wouldn't change the actual kit, which is why I wanted to actually showcase this mech and Hell as well, because overall this is what their kit is going to be. Overall, maybe the stats might change different when it comes to the final release. But that is pretty much it. What do you guys think of Alphard? I think Alphard is pretty super duper solid. I enjoy Alphard. I'm probably going to pick up Alphard right away and start playing testing it more, and not just against bots. We were able to do like a 12v12 with other content creators. We did a quick live stream on our YouTube and also our Twitch. We were able to play against other content creators who were in the private servers. It was actually pretty fun. We did 6v6 Alphard, then we did an actual matches, and we were actually having some fun with these mechs and trying to see how they would play and what is good and what isn't good about them when it comes to certain objectives, certain maps, or just overall team synergy. But that's pretty much it, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video, which will be how. See you in that video. Peace.